Welcome back, folks. I'm Jon Najarian from the American Express Lounge at Palm Beach International Airport, otherwise known as PBI. Nobody will be walking behind me, though, because I got a wall behind me. But occasionally, you may hear some music playing overhead. But nonetheless, today we're going to cover the first $5 trillion company in history. We're going to cover that and everything that's going on in the markets on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang.
All right.
That's Pete Najarian, comfortably ensconced in some unknown location, whereas I just disclosed my location. And it's great to have all of you join us, folks. And Pete, what do you think? Law of large numbers. I mean, Nvidia, which we'll get to. Yeah, I remember, folks, when they told us on the halftime report, and I think they told Pete on Fast Money as well. Oh, but what about the large numbers when Apple gets to $1 trillion? I mean, and it's like, do you guys even know what the law of large numbers is, or do you just mouth this crap because you happen to see it somewhere? I mean, because I could actually show you the formula, folks. It has nothing to do with stocks. Nothing to do with stocks. I mean, you earn this much money and the upside is way over here on the left side or whatever. Come on. Anyway, we can talk about that when we get to Nvidia, I guess, Pete, but let's dive into macro, okay?
Let's do it.
We all know that today the Federal Reserve is going to cut 25 basis points from the Fed funds rate. How do we know that? Well, because the CME's been saying it, screaming it for the past several weeks even. It's way up over 98%. And Pete was on with Hannah Doba over at News Nation this morning talking about it as well. So is there anything more macro than that, Pete?
I don't think so, John, but I will just add a little something that's a side note, because that is the focus, right? It's about the Fed. You got two other things that are really massive going on, though. How about the earnings that we've got coming after the close today? We had some before and even after. I mean, Meta, Google, and Microsoft. I mean, we are really at a busy time. And the last thing I'll mention is the president himself. I mean, look at all the deals this guy is making while he's over there in Asia. I mean, it's a lot of work. I know we're still in a government shutdown, but the president's not shut down. He's working his tail off, and he's making a lot of deals happen that I think are going to be very positive for us.
Well, no doubt about that, Pete. And as far as futures, I'm going to just point out that RBOB, which Pete talked about crude oil yesterday, WTI, West Texas Intermediate. The RBOB contract is where gasoline price is at the wholesale level, not at the level that you and I pay at, folks. But it's up a little over almost 2.5% today. So as crude oil moves back up to around 61, the RBOB price has moved up as well.
We talk about demand all the time, John, demand for this, demand for that. And how about this one? We've talked about it here and there, but probably not even enough. How about coffee? And the price of coffee, which in August was at $2.90, we hit $4.20 not too many days ago. It's eased off of that level, John, but nonetheless, I mean, you look at these coffee prices, they're absolutely outrageous. Their talk is about the demand. It's also about the global supply chain. It's also about, the costliness of a lot of the things that are going on. But nonetheless, it's something that I think, being the United States that we are and having Starbucks and all these other things, these coffee prices are going up. It's a great time for Starbucks and others to raise those prices, John, because we know one thing. They're never going to lower them after they raise them. They don't care where coffee is. So think about that as far as what the margins could look like if coffee keeps dropping, because they'll still be priced as if we were at about $4.20.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the reasons, Pete, when Starbucks came public, when Howard Schultz brought it out, I bought the I bought a convert that was paying about 9%. The convert was, and it let you convert into shares, obviously, hence the name convert. But I remember when people asked me, well, why would you buy that? You know, it's a coffee chain. And I said, they sell an addictive substance. I mean, you know, so it's the same reason people buy cigarette companies or some liquor companies or now even cannabis companies. Well, it's an addictive substance. So how exactly do people not understand that that could be something pretty big? I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right, Pete. Coffee prices aren't going to be coming down, but the margins are going to be widening out. Speaking of widening out, how about this one, Pete? I think Mark might have been the first guy amongst us to talk about this one, and they are a company that we work with. It's known as Quantum Emotion, folks, and the ticker symbol is QNCCF. So Queen Nancy Charlie Charlie Frank. And he started talking about it, Pete, on my birthday, I think in late September, and it was $1 a share. Well, today it's $3.35. And for those of you who have not been along on the ride on this one, and yes, we are paid promoters of this business. We own this particular asset, and I think they're just killing it, Pete. But what do? Well, they're like a Canadian cryptographic company. They have a quantum random number generator. And so today's news might not make as much sense to you until you think about this. Why is it going up today? Because they cut a deal with Plug on an energy plug hybrid system. Well, you're sitting there scratching your head going, well, but why would a quantum random number generating company go up there? Because power needs to be secure, folks, because you don't want somebody hacking into it and basically shutting it down or diverting it or whatever else they might do, whatever nefarious purposes they may have. So they did this deal. It got announced today, and boom, the stock pops another 16% today, Pete. It's Quantum Emotion is just a great story right now, and I don't see it pulling back anytime soon, Pete. Look at that run. Again, nice since run. September when it was $1. And we've had so many of our subscribers, Pete, tell us thank you for telling us about this one, because we do share those on Small Cap Spotlight and so forth. And this has certainly been one of these success stories, and they just continue to hit it out of the park. So that's a little update, folks, on Quantum Emotion. And I love the company. And as I already said, we are paid to help promote and cause attention to be drawn to this company. All right, Pete, let's talk about the first $5 trillion stock. That would be Nvidia. And again, what about the law of large numbers? If it applied at 1 trillion, Pete, wouldn't it apply at 2? Wouldn't it apply at 3? Wouldn't it apply at 4 or now 5? Well, apparently not. Because again, it had nothing to do with that anyway. And the people that were mouthing that crap on the various networks didn't know what they were talking about. So anyway, rather than just bashing them, let's talk about this, Pete. Unusual activity in the name. We've had it multiple times. In this case, back on the 13th, multiple. I mean, it hits every week, I think. And back on the 13th, it was $188 a share. People were probably saying, oh, the valuations are so stretched here and blah, blah, blah. Well, somebody bought 2.1 million share equivalent, because again, folks, 21,000 options, that's 2.1 million share equivalent. So, you know, let's call it roughly $400 million worth of stock. I want to follow those guys. And if you did, it trades through 210 today, which brought it through $5.1 trillion, Pete. All you got to do is scan that QR code, folks, and you could be trading on the same information Pete and I are trading on.
Yep, new highs, up 4 or 5%, John. Bank of America raised it up from 235 to 275, put in a buy rating on the stock, $5 trillion stock that it hit today. It's off the high of the day, which I believe was 212, but nonetheless, what an incredible run that they've had. $500 billion in AI chip orders. I mean, everywhere you look, you say, you know what? These guys are getting a lot of things done, and they're making deals. And, there was far more upgrades than we'd even want to be able to sit here and talk about. But the partnerships and everything that they are doing right now, they are executing at an incredible pace right now, John. It's like something I haven't seen. I don't think it's over either, and not necessarily just for Nvidia. I'm just talking about AI, because every question you and I ever get from anybody on television is, well, do you think this thing is ready to break? And it's like, not yet. They keep accelerating the money that's going into AI, and there's so many different factors that go into this thing. I still think that there's plenty of room for many of the AI stocks that are out there.
Well, no disagreement here. Again, anybody that really was betting against the stock, take a look back in April, folks, when it broke 100, yes, when it traded into the high 80s, Pete, because it did, folks. And 88. Now look at it. Just incredible. All right, take a look at Caterpillar next, folks, because most of you know them for earth-moving equipment and so forth, as well as perhaps Caterpillar diesel generators for power and things like that. Well, transportation equipment used to power artificial intelligence data centers. Well, that sounds like it might be something that's in pretty big demand as well. And this quarter, it was exactly that, energy and transportation, that drove earnings way above street estimates. And the stock just powered forward up better than 12%. I mean, just a great Illinois company, Pete, and happy to see an American company like Caterpillar doing so well. Data centers are a big part of that right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talk about AI, but we should always include, I think, the data centers and a lot of other aspects of it. Obviously, crypto mining, all these things that people talk about all the time. AI, the demand is there, and we know that. And so because of that, this is a really good thing for Caterpillar, because they're sitting right in the driver's seat for this whole thing. When you look at the earnings, John, and I see they're looking for 451. Well, they put up 495, $4.95. They absolutely crushed those earnings. We've been talking about how strong the earnings season has been so far, and it just continues to be absolutely as strong as any we've seen. As a matter of fact, we've seen sales that have risen by fourfold, and we haven't seen anything like that in the last few years. It's just absolutely incredible just looking to see what's going on here. But how about the other allocation, John? The share repurchase. They did $400 million on that, and then they threw another $700 million towards the dividend. So they've got plenty of cash. They're obviously dispersing it out the best they can, and with revenue up also about 10%, almost $17 billion. I would say this was a damn good quarter for Caterpillar, and they might see it again in Q4.
Wow. Well, the potential here for this company, especially, Pete, even with some of the tariffs that are in place, is immense. Caterpillar and Komatsu are probably the two biggest in the combination of earth moving things for transportation, as well as power and power generation. So, yep, CAT, folks, keep an eye on it. And this one, Fiserv, FI. This is a payments company. They basically said, Pete, that they're going to revamp their leadership. They are going to, quote, refresh their board. They slashed full year earnings guidance. So that kind of explains why they're tossing a lot of the execs and the board, because they're saying this is the worst day in the history of this company, Pete. It was down over 44%, maybe even a little bit more than that, way short of Wall Street estimates. And people basically just said, adios, I'm out of here.
Well, I was looking back at that, John, when I was talking about those earnings, and 70% of the S&P earnings have the biggest sales beats in 4 years. That's what I meant to say, biggest in 4 years. That being said, jumping back to Fiserv, this was probably one of the worst quarters I've ever seen for anybody, John. I mean, everywhere you look, they seem to have an issue, and it's absolutely incredible what they put up, which is exactly why you're down 40+% to the downside. I mean, You cut the guidance as well. So everything else, you're changing the board, you're changing this, you're changing that, you're revamping everything. I mean, this is a really rough quarter for them. If they can weather this storm, maybe they've got a shot. But we're going to have to see. And this is one of those where I don't feel like you want to sit there and try to catch the falling knife. I think you want to see this thing start to make some sort of a turn in the future before you even start looking at it again. But for right now, this is one of the worst quarters I've seen for anybody in terms of what they put out there. And it was not just the earnings, but it's also what they were looking for in guidance and everywhere else. Just absolutely awful, especially the fact that they're going after the board as well. I mean, they're changing out everything.
Yeah, well, when you miss this badly, Pete, and when you guide to like, I think $8.50 in earnings, from the street was looking for close to $10.20 or $10.30. That's a big drop, and everybody starts to rejigger their calculations on what the company's worth. But yeah, it's a terrible day for Fiserv and probably for their employees, sadly enough, Pete, because I guarantee you one of the things the new leadership is going to do is cut people, and that's sad. All right, let's take a look at Bloom Energy, BE, because BE, Pete, is up over 20% today. They basically have fuel cells out there in the field so that they can provide energy, just like we were talking about with Caterpillar and so forth. But these guys just blew by quarterly estimates. They're going to have capacity up to 2 gigawatts. 2 gigawatts! Yeah, that's the 2
future,
gigawatts, folks, by December 2026. So they are doing everything right, seemingly enough. And obviously, this is another one of those, by the way, Pete, where in Fiserv, folks, we had puts because people were betting that the stock was going to fall. They were right. In this one, we had unusual activity in there's the Fiserv. Sorry, I forgot to hit it, Pete, on the last slide. But Fiserv, they bought puts and the stock dived. Bloom Energy, they bought calls, way out of the money calls. The stock was 111 just yesterday. Yesterday, folks, look at that. That's 1028. And today, 136, 137-ish. And they were buying all the way up to the 170 strike. I mean, it's just a moonshot. And look at that from September when it was basically a $50 stock or 55 to today, 136. That's why, like when Pete says, well, it's not just one stock driving this whole rally, folks. It's not just AI. It's not just the Mag 7. It's not just data centers. Well, Bloom Energy. This is another one of those where you nearly tripled your money in a month. One month. That's why you want to subscribe, folks. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, the fact that they crushed these results, like you said, John. I mean, when you put up your earnings and you're 50% better than what you expected, I'd say that's pretty damn impressive. When you put up the revenue, it's up 57%. When you look at the gross margins, they were 23%, now they're 29%. I mean, they're beating it in every single spot that you look. They're doing something that's fantastic, and I think there's multiple catalysts out there. The AI demand, certainly, government policy is another one. Rapid product innovation is another. And these guys are about as innovative as it gets out there when it comes to energy, John. They're doing an absolutely amazing job. We've had that UOA, that unusual option activity that we talked about. And the stock is up, like 23%, maybe even more, maybe a little bit less, whatever, but 20+%. Pretty damn nice move, I'd say. And Bloom Energy, this is a name that it's been hitting. And when that hits with that kind of buying power that we'd seen, that's one that you want to pay attention to. And that's something that I know a lot of the subscribers pay attention to, that one, because I see some of the results and they're pretty impressive. And Bloom Energy is definitely a name I think people need to have somewhere that they're keeping a very close eye on it, because they are crushing it right now.
Yeah, it's been a great run for them, Pete, and just another company that as long as they keep raising guidance and saying things like, hey, we're going to be generating 2 gigawatts by December of next year, you got to pay attention and say, if they're doing that and we know power's in demand, well, where's the stock going to be? All right, What do you got for sports for us, Pete?
We got some fun stuff, John. I thought we'd do this. What is the best job on the planet Earth, do you think? I'm going to give you a hint. It has something to do with college football. And what it has to do with college football is being a head coach in college football. And here's why. How about these packages these guys are getting right now, John? So far, I can't even remember. I've lost track. Is it 11, 12 coaches that have been fired this year from major programs? $168 million in buyouts alone for those guys, okay? Now, the big leaders in that whole thing are Brian Kelly, LSU, just got fired. Who do you think takes that job, by the way? I think there's a couple of guys that make a lot of sense, but, you know, who knows what they'll do. $59 million. James Franklin, $49 million from Penn State when he walked away from that one. Walked away after they took his keys away and he walked away. But, you know, and the list goes on. Billy Napier at Florida, $21 million. Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, $15 million. Pittman from Arkansas, $9.8 million. You get the idea. And the list is longer than that. There are multiples longer than that. You've got Vatech, you've got UCLA, you've got Oregon State, you've got UAB, you've got Colorado State, all of which have fired their head coaches who are walking away with a minimum of $1 million+ dollars. It's just incredible to me, John. How the heck does this whole thing work? How do they afford all the coaches and especially the buyouts? I mean, this is absolutely incredible. And some of these guys have all kinds of weird little things in their contract. Well, if you don't search out a job, then you're only going to get this. If you do search out a job, then you're going to get this. So interesting to see how this thing unfolds. But you are closer to this than probably I would be, John, with Tulane and Colorado. But what in the world? How do they afford to pay these guys what they're paying them right now?
Well, because you got an NFL franchise for zero. That's how. You and I know why. Because, okay, what's an NFL franchise right now, folks? Keep in mind, in 1980, I think, Pete, 79, 80-ish, Jerry Jones bought the Cowboys, and he paid $120 million or so for it. And now they're worth at least double-digit billions, like 10 or 12 billion dollars. I mean, that ain't a 10x. That's a 100x on a big number. So now Tulane famously, Pete, at least in the recent past, doesn't really draw huge crowds because, you know, it's New Orleans. Everybody has fun stuff to do other than hanging out at a foot. They pack the pregame, but they're not in there in the stadium in big numbers. Colorado, on the other hand, they are. They've sold out since Deion's been there. So let's say roughly 60,000 people. 60,000 people at, you know, $20 to $50 a ticket, whatever it might be, Pete, is a real number. You know, might be between 1.5 and 3 million live gate before you get to any of the merch. And they're getting, you know, money from the TV contract too, which is far bigger than that. And so you and I both know how they can afford to do it. It's kind of they're terrible fiduciaries of the money of that state, however, because even though LSU, they're putting 100,000 people in there, and let's say at $100 at $50, you know, it's a 5 million live gate plus TV plus. Still, you're a terrible fiduciary of the money of that state if you pay these clowns that amount of money. So when they don't perform and they end up cutting them, you know, it's kind of shame on them. But I agree with you. I think it's kind of sad for everybody else that works in that state that you have one person or maybe three people, the head coach, O coordinator, D coordinator, that are making 100 times what a normal salary would be in that state, whatever state it is. I don't care if it's Mississippi or if it's Louisiana or if it's Minnesota or if it's California. But anyway, but yeah, they simply get it because TV money is so big, Pete.
Yep, it's massive. It's absolutely incredible. So it's unfortunate because they, like you said, they are not handling things very well, and you know, they get the wrong hire and they've locked them into all this money and they give them all these deals. I know that you've got to give something up, but I think at some point maybe they ought to wrangle that back down a little bit, a little anyway, maybe somewhere along the way. All right, so Thursday night, I know it's Wednesday, but Thursday night we've got the Ravens playing the Dolphins. One of these two is going to be out.
What a terrible game, by the way. Who's going to watch that crap?
Well, somebody will. They'll still tune in. I guarantee you that. They'll have more eyes watching that maybe than Major League Baseball with the World Series. That's how big football still is. Despite the fact that you're right. Two teams that really stink.
Two of the worst teams, yeah.
Defense on both teams stinks. Offense even worse. I mean, I was looking at it, John. Baltimore is a minus 36. So in other words, teams are outscoring them by, that margin. I mean, it's just awful. So their defense stinks. Miami's defense stinks. The offense for the Ravens is terrible. The offense for Miami has been pretty terrible. And these two are going to line up against each other. You've got the AFC going at each other in this one, AFC East and AFC North. I guess the curious question I've got for you is, which one is worse right now? And I think Lamar might be back, by the way, so that could change things. But if not, which one of these is going to lose? Because whoever loses, you're out of the playoffs. I mean, they're close to out of the playoffs already, but they'll be a lot closer. Whoever loses this one, they're done. The season's over with, and they might as well start scouting the kids in college and seeing who the next guy is they're going to draft really high that's not very good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I almost feel bad for the people who are broadcasting this one, like I say, Pete. And you're probably right. It'll probably still outdraw the World Series, even though they have maybe the greatest baseball player in history playing against one of the greatest teams in history, because that Blue Jays team is special. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think anybody could push the Dodgers like this, but they just don't give up, and they might win it. Who knows? And again, that's one of the reasons people be drawn into it. But boy, the Dolphins and that team, I don't know how they endorse that coach the way they have, Pete, because he's done nothing. And it's a kind of sad state of affairs down here, but Mr. Ross owns them. The guy that puts all that money into Michigan. He owns the team down here. He owns the Miami Grand Prix. Obviously related. His real estate company just kills it. So, it's not a question of him losing money on this deal, but you got to think Dolphins fans are getting pretty upset about, the sort of product you put on the field. And boy, it's been a series of injuries for Baltimore, with Lamar being out for a long time and some of these other players that were expected to contribute just not being. I mean, I'll be one of the first to say it. Blame me, because I thought they were going to be good this year. And then the defense totally fell apart. Like you said, you can't have a 36-point spread between how much you score and how much you let the other guy score. That's on the defense, and a little bit on the offense, because you're not keeping the ball away from the other team's offense when you're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Well, at the start of the year, John, one of the reasons that Baltimore still had a chance was with Lamar. They were able to score enough points to maybe outscore the opponent, even though the defense stinks. But the second Lamar got hurt, that changed everything. And then suddenly you're looking at a team with very little offense, absolutely nothing on defense. One of the worst defenses in the NFL right now, which is weird to say because that's what the Baltimore Ravens are known for, right? I mean, everybody has for decades has talked about this great defense. That's one thing they've got. And that was one of the things that helped them, obviously, to get to some of the championships that they've been to. So it's really too bad. But I think with Lamar back, at least they have a shot. And to your point, I think the head coach of Miami at some point, I don't know when, I don't think you have to rush it because it's a little different than college football. That's why everybody's firing their coaches right now, is because they want to be able to be in line to be able to interview the next guy who's going to be the coach at the school. So but in the NFL, they can wait till the offseason to worry about all that stuff. So we'll see how that all plays out. But I'll tell you what, two really bad teams, like you said, 2-5 and 2-6 are their records. I mean, let's be honest. Those were teams that were supposed to be a heck of a lot better than that.
Yep, and they're not even entertaining. I mean, sometimes bad teams can be entertaining, and neither of these two teams are entertaining. That's why I say, the this is just going to be one of the lower rated Thursday night games of the year.
Yeah.
Well, Pete and I will give you a little preview of the rest of what is going to be happening into the weekend, maybe some of those college games, which are considerably better than Miami versus Baltimore on the pro side. And we'll do that at what time tomorrow, Pete?
We got it at 1 p.m., John, Eastern time. Let's get after it.